Good morning, everybody. I was just having a cup of tea and it all went quiet, so I thought I'd better come up and say a few words. Thank you. I'm Marcus Coleman, Chief Executive of Seafish. Nice to see you all here today. Thank you so very much for coming. Some of you have travelled a long, long way. Thanks to our speakers in particular for their contributions. This is the first Scottish Seafood Summit that Seafish has organised. We did this in response to a demand from some of our stakeholders who wanted to see more of Seafish in Scotland. So here we are. We're very busy in Scotland already, but it's really good to come and have this opportunity to talk to you all about some of the work we do. It's hard, I guess, and we heard a bit of this yesterday, it's hard to imagine a more challenging time for the industry at the minute as the UK tries to leave the European Union. We all know in this room that the impacts are many. Some great opportunities, as we've heard from the Scottish fishing sector in particular, but also some great challenges, as anybody importing or exporting seafood will tell you. We do have such an array of issues to get through. We've focused on some of those today, not all of them, but we're talking about fishing rights, trade flows and tariffs, regulations, certification, documentation. Public funding is something we haven't really got into on this agenda, but EMFF is a significant input, and what will happen to that next. Labour availability we'll be touching on as well. So the list goes on. We've checked out on a few of those today, and looking forward to getting into that. At Seafish, we are here really to keep you informed, to research information that's important to your businesses, important to the government as well, to help shape some of their policy decisions. It's up to us really to provide some of those tools, and we'll see some examples of those today. We've already heard about our EU exit guide, which is on our website. You can have a little Google on your phones if you want to check that out. But this afternoon, I think Arena will be talking about our trade and tariff tool, which is a super piece of analysis that you can take away and use back at the ranch to see where imports and exports into and out of the UK are going. Our labour surveys and analysis is helping to inform policy around immigration, and we'll have a presentation on that this morning as well. And then we do other things, bespoke market reports, market insight reports, and assembling various pieces of information to help inform future fisheries management. The work that we do in Scotland is overseen by a committee, an advisory committee. I think, Aoife, there are 13 members of that committee. Many of you are here today. That first convened in the early part of 2018. It's chaired by Mike Park, and we've drawn the membership from right across the supply chain in Scotland. So really good representation there. And I think this session was a suggestion from that committee. One of the important roles that we play at Seafish is bringing people together, our convening role. I'm just talking about this at breakfast with somebody. And it's relatively easy to bring people together. It's rather harder to distill the information and the insights that you're getting from that convening and making it into an accessible form. And again, today is a good showcase of some of those tools and solutions that we can offer you. We started yesterday 2 really important workshops. We got off to a really good start on looking at business preparedness yesterday, some of the practical steps that businesses need to take if they are going to continue to import or export from the EU in the event of a no-deal scenario. It was a bit of an eye-opener, I think, for many of us in the room, and a bit of a worry, and I guess a bit of a hope that a deal is done. Interestingly, if a deal is done, we don't know what the arrangements will be, so you've kind of got two ends of the spectrum to work on. The second workshop, we looked at international trading opportunities. The key markets, Seafood Scotland, were presenting their view on where those opportunities lie and the support that they can offer. And Seafish were also providing some insight there as to the trade shows that we go to. So there's where the opportunities perhaps might lie. So thanks to all the speakers yesterday. We rounded off last night, of course, with that networking buffet. It's always good to get talking. You probably do more business in the chat afterwards over a glass of wine than you do in the conference. So we all really enjoyed that. Today, the conference programme, we've got 3 core sessions, one looking at access to fisheries resources, one looking at labour constraints, We heard a lot about that when the Seafish board came up to Peterhead last September, and we heard from a number of businesses about how challenging it is to recruit and retain workforce here in Scotland. It's a similar picture across the UK, but in Scotland probably a higher emphasis on that. A quick plug here for John Hester, who's going to be saying a few words. He's from Young's. He's one of our new young seafood leaders on our network that Seafish has just created. So we'll be hearing from John, I think, just before lunch. And then finally, the last session, our changing trading relationship with the EU and beyond, where those opportunities lie and how that's all going to play out. I'd like to thank the speakers in advance. I know a couple of them were almost tied back to Westminster in some cases and have some really challenging agendas of their own, so really good for them to make time for us. And it's a difficult one, I know, because things are changing daily, if not by the hour. So thank you, speakers, wherever you are. A quick shout out for Seafish staff. I want to say a few words about that. The Seafish board asked Seafish to be particularly flexible and amenable to change in this recent corporate plan for obvious reasons. And that does have implications for our staff. They do need to be flexible and responsive and agile, actually, when we ask them to do different things, different projects. Might have to cut things short, move on to other things. But without exception, they've all stepped up to the plate in that respect. This event in particular, there's a cast of Seafish staff who are here. They know who they are. Thank you guys for pulling this off. The comms side, the organisation side, putting the agenda together, managing our media partners, all top job, guys. Well done, thank you. In fact, Seafish has changed quite a lot. If you've just bumped into Seafish, having not seen us for a few years, you hopefully will be seeing a difference. We are listening more, we're more responsive, we're actually focusing on the issues that are affecting your businesses rather than what anybody's pet projects might be. And hopefully you're starting to see that change, and we're going to continue in that vein. A few other thank yous to say. The Seafish training team are out in the lobby alongside the Royal Environmental Health Institute of Scotland. Jackie and Lee are there. They're really keen to talk to you. They're demonstrating their latest e-learning training tool. I said I'd give them a shout out, so wherever you guys are. Thank you. There you are, Jackie. Nice to meet you. Go and have a look at what they're offering. Can I also thank all of you delegates? There's over 150 of you signed up for this event, which really makes this a success. There was a suggestion when we first called this date out that this was not a good date to do this summit, but we stuck with it, and I think the fact that so many of you have signed up suggests that we perhaps got that right. So thank you for making this a success. A few parish notices. Can we have our phones off or silent, please? Thank you. There's no fire drill expected, so if we hear the alarms, we have to exit. Fire exits left and right, and the convening places in the car park. This event is being live streamed and will be on our YouTube channel later. So just be mindful of that. If you're hurling abuse or asking interesting questions, you'll be recorded for posterity. Davey, I'm not looking at you. The slides will all be available to you later as well, so you don't need to scribble too fast there. Intrafish are our media partner. They're live blogging as we go through this, and they will be producing some articles. Some of their publications are in the foyer as well, so if Intrafish come and have a chat with you, be nice to them, Costas, and be amenable to them. Thank you very much. So,